faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Then, as the crowd looked and pointed upward, the narrator continued. You know where I'm going. Look, up in the sky, thank you, everyone. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. I realize that sort of aged me right there in the eyes of some of you here. Well, growing up in Texas as a kid, some of my most treasured memories involve going to the corner store with my saved-up quarters and buying the newest release of a Marvel comic book. My favorites were Superman, of course, and Green Lantern, Silver Surfer, Iron Man, and Spider-Man. I loved the other heroes as well, but my funds were limited, so I had to be somewhat frugal on my choices. I couldn't buy every new issue, but I could swap with one of my friends in the neighborhood when I finished with an issue. And sort of an informal neighborhood kids library system, you might say. These action heroes were often role models in our lives as we were growing up. How times have changed. Have you noticed how jaded some have become lately? I'm not talking about the political critics for the news media. You expect them to be suspicious. I'm talking about the average person, the average you and me. Just reciting that memorable introduction to the old TV show of Superman brings a smile to our face, and perhaps even a sense of cliche. Now, I'm not trying to be one of the jaded, but have you noticed that at the very mention of the name of someone important, there are those who respond with something snarky to say? It seems as if these snarky-ites can't accept the possibility that anyone could rise to a level that others would not only admire, but might even wish to emulate as well. For perhaps the thought that there are people in this world who are willing to expend their efforts on behalf of others makes some people uncomfortable. Who knows? These snarky-ites just might have to expect more of themselves. They are, as we say today, out of their comfort zone. Well, heroes and heroines come in many forms. They are not just the muscular form of Superman or the shapely form of Wonder Woman. In fact, I believe what all of our heroes and heroines have in common is not their physical attributes, no matter how marvelous they might be. Nope, it's what they do. It's embodied in their actions. When my sons were younger, I see one of them in the back. He has no idea I'm getting ready to relate this story. I apologize. Okay, hopefully you'll forgive me. Anyway, so when my sons were younger, they loved to play with a large array of toys, including their action figures. Whether it was G.I. Joe or Spider-Man, the drama and excitement of heroic actions never stopped. So incredible were these heroic exploits that serious challenges could be heard coming from my sons' rooms. Spider-Man is just an imaginary guy. He doesn't live. G.I. Joe, he's real. Or, G.I. Joe can't do what Spider-Man can do. Well, let's move on to the Torah portion for this week. Would you like that as a segue? The Torah portion for this Shabbat is called Ki Tisa, and is a continuation of the previous four portions, all the way back to chapter 19, when Moses first ascends Mount Sinai to begin a lengthy personal encounter with God on behalf of the Israelites. As you may recall, that journey up the mountain began very early as the morning dawned, as the Torah says. And also in the words of Torah, amidst thunder and lightning and a dense cloud upon the mountain and the very blast of horns, and all the people trembled. What a powerful moment that must have been. But the effect of the moment soon waned. For the equivalent length of those 5 Torah portions, Moses was absent from the Israelites, leaving his brother Aaron in charge. Well, we all know the story and how disastrous this turns out to be. Aaron succumbs to the intense pressure from the people and builds for them a golden calf. And what was their reason for wanting the golden calf? Where they are quoted in the Torah as saying to Aaron, "Come, make us a god who shall go before us. For that man Moses, who brought us out from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." Well, they feel vulnerable and abandoned, although the portion on his return visit is more specific in just how long Moses remains on the mountain. At that time, it's 40 days. But for this first trip, seems to be without any temporal references. Evidently, in the eyes of the Israelites, the time span was too long. I find it quite telling that the Israelites turned from seeing Moses as a superhero, just in case you wondered how I was tying in the theme here, seeing Moses as a superhero to just another unimportant individual in whom they no longer respected. They just referred to him as that man Moses. How quickly Moses descends from the lofty position of superhero to just that man. They are no longer interested in standing quietly and submissively at the foot of the mountain. Or maybe the Israelites are not impatient. Maybe they're just disinterested. Well, perhaps the fault lies in setting up one person as the superhero. Moses was an incredible leader, certainly. But as Moses came to see, strong leadership comes from having others accept the mantle of leadership as well. Responsible leaders are those who live responsibly. They are the ones who transform the talk, doing good things, into actually doing them. So here's an example of our own homegrown superheroes. I am referring to those individuals who organize and those who donate in blood drives across the country, across Memphis, and most especially here at Temple Israel. This coming Sunday from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Temple Israel will be hosting, once again, a blood drive. What makes this effort heroic? Because quite literally, it reflects one of the highest form of divine obligation, or mitzvah, incumbent upon us, that of pikuach nefesh, saving a life. Surely, giving blood, quite simply, saves lives. And it was not with a random whim that this life-giving effort got started. According to Juliet Klein, Temple has teamed with Lifeblood, the region's volunteer blood bank, since the early 1960s to facilitate 4 blood drives a year. Felice Gruber was the original Temple coordinator and enlisted Temple volunteers to call members asking them to donate blood in order to save lives in the Memphis area. She was motivated when her husband, Leslie, of blessed memory, needed transfusions and the blood supply was not sufficient to supply the blood he required. In the 1990s, Felice's daughter, Cheryl Gordon, took over, and both of these ladies, Juliet writes, were very successful, and Temple won honors for our participation. Well, as steady quarterly efforts continue today, about 10 years ago, Julie Klein succeeded Cheryl as coordinator, and the volunteer efforts have not abated. These efforts on behalf of the Temple continue to be awarded honors, and as Julie shared with me, the credit goes to a dedicated group of people who make phone calls to our donor base, as well as encouraging them to bring a friend. The phoners, as she calls them, are the unsung heroes. They are Lisa Barden, Neil Berlin, Joe Kroner, Jean Eckstein, Millie Katzen, Roz Kimmelman, Toba Kornberg, Barbara Ostro, Claude Paddock, Judy Royal, Carol Yaffe, and David Yaffe. These are just a few of the superheroes we have in our congregational family. The list doesn't include the large number of regular donors who donate their blood every time the opportunity presents itself. A little known fact, because the Memphis Medical Center, is the 7th largest user of blood products in the United States, we use blood above the national average in Memphis. So according to Juliet, one of the goals of the blood drive is to increase our donations so we can reach above that national average. Julie also asked me to share with you that walk-ins are welcome. Just bring a photo ID, eat a hearty breakfast, and drink lots of water before donating. So my message is simple. As the rabbis of old remind us in so many different ways, God does not expect us to be superheroes like Moses. God just expects us to live our lives in a way that we move others to do good things as well. That's a real superhero. So be a superhero. Donate blood on Sunday and save lives. After all, saving lives, that's what a superhero does. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.